Assalamu alaikum everybody. Inshallah, now we talk about chapter 8, which is part of session 3, markups and markdown. So we talk about many things, starting with some terminologies. So we have, before we start, we have to know what is the cost meaning. Okay, we say that the price, it is the price retailers pay to a manufacturer or supplier. The cost, everybody know what is the cost. Cost of the item. Selling price is the price retailers charge customers. Okay, this is a price that where I buy items from others. Markup, margin, or gross profit. It is the difference between the selling price and the cost. The profit, الربح يعني. Operating expenses or overheads طبعا يعني for any company definitely they have some kind of expenses like wages, like they have to pay for renting place for their company, so many things. So this is the operating expenses or overheads, meaning the net profit or the net income, which is the profit remaining after subtracting the cost of bringing the goods into the store and the operating expenses. So if we deduct the cost from the selling price, then we get profit, but this is not the net profit that I want to put in my pocket. I still need to pay for salaries for employees in my company, for example, and then the renting and so forth. So we also need to deduct these things from the markup, and then we get the net profit. Basic selling price formula. So what is the selling price formula? It's very easy. We say selling price S equal the cost plus the markup. Cost C, markup M, that we are going to use after in the next slides. So if we say that the cost of one item is 18 US dollar, and then the markup, okay, is 5, then the selling price will be 18 plus 5, which is 23. You can also read it from different way. If the cost is 18 and the selling price, okay, the item cost me as a company 18 US dollar, and I want to sell for others for 23, then what is my profit or what is my markup? It will be the selling price 23 minus the cost which is 18, then I will get the markup, which is 5 US dollar. Markups based on cost. So the cost here is 100%. So we will have markups based on cost and based on sales. We start with cost. So the cost here is 100%. So the formula says that selling price equal cost plus markup. The cost is 100%. And then I will have markup as an extra amount of money and our extra percentage. If we sum these two percentage, the cost percentage, which is 100%, and then the markup percentage, which is any percentage, so definitely we will get selling price percentage over 100%. How to calculate the markup and percent markup on cost? Okay, let's take example and see how it works. It is just very simple and straightforward formula execution. Say gaps buys jackets for 18 US dollar. Gap sell them for 23 US dollar each. So what is Gap's markup? So we already mentioned that before using the original formula, okay, which is okay, selling price equal cost plus markup. So you can use this formula. Then continue with the question. What is the percentage markup on cost? Okay, let's start. Markup equal selling price minus cost. If you, as I mentioned, you arrange the previous formula, okay? So this formula, okay, you arrange it. Then the markup equal selling price, and then we take the cost to the other side minus cost. So this is what we have here. So the dollar markup is selling price minus cost. The selling price is 23 minus the cost is 18, so we will get markup 5 US dollar. Okay, the percentage markup on cost, we have the following formula that we always use. Based on cost, then it is the dollar markup divided by the cost. The dollar markup, we found it that it is 5 divided by the cost, which is 18. So 5 by 18 equal 25.78%. So this is the percentage of markup. We also can recalculate the cost using this formula. Cost equal dollar markup divided by percentage markup on cost. It means that if I have or I know the percentage markup on cost and the dollar markup, then simply I can find the cost of the item using this formula. So in this case, dollars markup, the difference that we found from the first formula is 5 divided by the percentage of markup that we found in the second formula, which is 0.2778. So in this case, we get 18, which is the cost given in the question. So we can simply find it in this way. Calculating selling price when you know cost and percent markup on cost. So we want to know or calculate the selling price. If I know, or if you know the cost and the percentage markup. Take example and see how we find it. We always want to go to the original formula in this chapter, which is selling price equal cost plus markup. The question says that Mills Furniture bought a lamp for 100 US dollar. So is it selling price or cost price? Definitely it is cost price. It cost me, or it cost Mill 100 US dollar. To make Mill's desired profit, he needs 65% markup on cost. So Mill needs 65% markup on cost, based on cost means. Okay, so let's take the formula S equals C plus M. S we don't know, we want to find it, equal C, we know C, the cost is 100, plus markup. We don't know the exact value of the markup, but we know that we need 65% of the cost, as we have studied in session 2. If I say 65% of 100, it means 65% multiply 100. If I say 65% of 1000, it means 65% multiply by 1000, right? So in our case, Mel needs 65% of the cost, and I know that the cost is 100, So he needs 65% of 100, which is 65% multiply by 100. So we write it here, 65%, which is 0.65, multiply by 100. This way it means multiplying by 100. So now we have 100 plus 0.65 times 100, which equal 100 plus 0.65 times 100 is 65. Then 100 plus 65 is 165. This is the selling price. Okay. Calculating cost when you know selling price and percent markup on cost. Okay, go to the example. Jill Sport, okay, owner of Sport Incorporation, sells tennis rackets for $50. Sell, then, so I know the value of S, selling price. To make her desired profit, Jill needs 40% markup on cost. Okay, the same statement like as in the previous question, 40% of the cost. If I know the cost value, then 40% multiply that value. If I don't know the value, then it is 40% multiplies what? Multiplies, in this case, it is cost, multiplies C. C is a variable. I didn't know its value yet. So it is C now. So it is 40% of this C. It means 40% multiply by this C. Okay, go to the formula directly. S equal C plus M. S is 50. Okay, it is here 50. So S is 50. Okay. M 40% markup on cost. It means 40% times C, and we write it here 40%, which is 0.4 times C. Okay. Okay, go to the next step. Now we have C plus 0.4 C. C. What is C? Actually, C is 1C, as we also discussed that in the previous class. C is 1C. So 1C plus 0.4 C, okay, 1C plus 0.4 C is 1.4 C. Oh, fine. So 50 equal 1.4 C. Now I want to know the value of C. Then I should divide this 1.4 C by 1.4. So I only keep C. And we mentioned before, if we divide one side, we should divide the other side by the same number. In this case, we divide 1.4 C by 1.4, and we divide 50 by 1.4. Okay, now 1.4 by 1.4, 1 equal 1. Then I still have only C. And 50 by 1.4 is 35.71. So the value of C is 35.71. So this is the cost. I know the selling price is 50. Now I know that the cost is 35.7. So what is the markup? The markup, as we mentioned before, take the selling price minus the cost. In our case, the selling price is 50 minus the cost is 35.7, and then we get the value 14.29 US dollar. Okay. Markups based on selling price. Now the other way, not based on cost like before, now based on selling price. So the selling price here is 100% or represent 100%. So as we can see, it is 100%. It means that the cost will be less than 100. And when we add this value, any value of the cost, by the markup value, we should get what? 100%. We want to go for the same examples now, but based on selling price, not based on cost. So how to calculate dollar markup and percent markup on selling price? Remember the same question, but on selling price, not on cost price as before. Okay, gap or the cost to gap for jacket is 18. The store then plans to sell the jacket for 23 US dollar. The same question as before. What is Gap's dollar markup? Using the same formula. And what is the percentage markup on selling price, not on cost price? So the formula for markup equal selling price minus cost. And the selling price is 23, okay, minus the cost is 18. So we will get 5, which is the markup. And the question also asks us to find the percentage markup on selling price. So it is almost the same formula to take the dollars markup, but in this case we divide it by the selling price. If we are talking about percentage markup on cost price, we divide by cost price, not selling price. In our case, we want to divide by selling price. So the dollar markup is 5 divided by the selling price is 23. So we get the percentage 21.74, which represents the percentage markup on selling price. If you want to use also the formula, if I know now the markup and I know the percentage markup on selling price, I can use this formula to find the selling price, which is selling price equal dollar markup divided by the percentage markup on selling price, which is 5 divided by 0.2174, and we definitely get the price that's shown in the example, which is 23. And now we want to calculate the selling price when we know the cost and the percentage markup on selling price, as we mentioned just now, using this example. Mills Furniture bought lamp for 100 US dollar. To make Mills desired profit, he needs 65% markup on selling price. So it is different, little bit different from the previous. It was 65% markup on cost price. Okay. What are Mills selling price and dollar markup? So the formula says that S equals C plus M. S we don't know yet, so we keep it as it is. S equal the cost from the formula. The cost is 100, so we write 100. Then what is the markup? The markup is the desired markup is 65% of S of the selling price. So we do it like this: 0.65 times S. Okay, here 0.65 times S. Look carefully. This is not 0.655. This is 0.65 times S. Okay, multiplied by S. Now, as also discussed in session 2, if you still remember, we have like terms here. Okay, where are they? we have S based on S, and we have here based on S. So we want to put them together. How to do that? So we take one to the other. So we may move this one to the other side and change its sign from here positive to negative, or using this simple way. So if we want to remove 0.65s from this side, the right side, so we just add minus 0.655. So these two will go together. Okay. This one and this one. Okay, and then as we also mentioned, if we do it on the right, we also do it on the left. So we also do it on the left. So on the left, S minus 0.65S, this one means 1S minus 0.65S, which is 0.35S. Okay, now 0.3 0.35. Okay, sorry, we now we have 0.35 S equal 100. So this is the formula. This, okay, 0.35 S equal 100. I want only S. How to keep only S? We divide this number by 0.35. Okay, and we do it in both sides. Okay, in this case 0.35 with 0.35 equal 1, then we only keep S, and then 100 divided by 0.35, it is 285.71. So the value of S is 285.71. Now I know C, I know S, then simply I can find M, which is the markup, which equals selling price minus cost, and selling price is 285.71, and the cost is 100. So we get the value which is 185.71. This is the markup value. Calculating cost when you know selling price and percent markup on selling price. Want to find the cost. So the variable here is C, that we want to find its value. Okay, gel sport, the same example also. Sells tennis rackets for 50%. Okay, this is selling price. To make her desired profit, Gels needs 40% markup on selling price. It means 40% times S. Okay, if I know S, then I use its value. If I don't know S, then I keep it as it is as a variable. In our case, we know S, right? S is 50 US dollar. Then definitely the markup is 40% of this 50, which is 0.4 times 50. This is what we want to use in the formula. Okay, we go to the formula now. S equals C plus M. S is 50 equals C, the cost that we want to find. We don't know now what is C, plus M, which is 40% of S, which is 40% of 50, which is 0.4 times 50. And 0.4 times 50 equal 20, as shown here. Okay, now we have up to this point. Okay, we have 50 equal C plus 20. We want C, then we should remove this 20. How we remove it? Again, take it to the other side and change its sign, or use the normal way we as here. Okay, plus 20, then we deduct 20 from both sides, so this will go with this, and we still have c in this side, and on the other side we have 50. Okay, and minus this 20 we will have 30, so c equal 30. Convergence between the cost, based on cost and based on selling. In this formula, for example, formula, or this formula is formula for converting percent markup on cost to percent markup on selling price. I have the percent markup on cost, but I want to know how much it is if based on selling price. Then we use the formula percent markup on cost divided by 1 plus percent markup on cost. And the other conversion, if I have the percent markup on selling and I want to find the percent markup on cost based on that, then I use the formula percent markup on selling divided by 1 minus percent markup on selling price. Okay. Now we talk about markdowns. We have formula for that. Markdown percent equal dollar markdown divided by the selling price, which is the original price. Dollar markdown equal original price minus a new selling price. Very straightforward. For example, sales markdown 18 US dollar tool set to 10.8. It's similar that they make some kind of discount, and before the price was 18 and now the price is 10.8. What are the dollar markdown and what is the markdown percent? Okay, the dollar markdown, it was 18 and now it is 10.8. So what is the dollar markdown? So you deduct 18 minus 10.8, which is 7.2. So this is the amount or the markdown amount. So what is the percentage of this amount? Okay, so the percentage is to take this amount and divide it by the selling price or the original price, which is 18 in our case. So we say 7.2 divided by 18, and this gives 40%. Pricing preferable. Okay. Yeah, okay, we go now to this also simple part, pricing perishable. Take this example and directly understand what we need to know. Alvin's vegetable stand grew 300 pounds of tomatoes. He expects 5% the tomatoes to become spoiled and not sellable. The tomatoes cost Alvin 0.14 US dollar per pound. For each pound, the cost was 0.14. And he wants a 60% markup on cost. He wants to get profit 60% on cost. Now, the question is, what price per pound should Alvin charge for the tomatoes? Now we know that the cost for each pound is 0.14. In order to know how much I should sell each pound, I want to know what is the total cost uh, for the 300 pounds. And then I want to know how much the selling price of this number of pounds. And then we, by simple division, we get the price or the selling price of each pound. So we start with the formula cost or the total cost. Okay, if 1 pound cost me 0.14, 300 pounds, how much it cost me? We multiply them together. It's similar like if 1 pen cost me 100 fils, then 2 pence, we multiply 2 times 10 200s. 3 pens, 3 times 10 300s, and so forth. So in our case, we have 300 pounds. Each pound costs 0.14, so we multiply them. And we get 42 US dollar. This is the cost, the total cost of the 300 pounds of tomato. Okay, now we want to find the selling price. The selling price formula is cost or total cost plus the total markup. Total selling price, okay, we want to find equal total cost. We found it already, 42 US dollar plus the markup, like previous questions. We need 60% on cost. It means 60% times the cost. It is 0.6 times cost, and the cost is known. It's 42. It means 0.6 times 42. It's here. Okay. After we calculate this formula, we will find that total selling price equal 67.2. This is the total for the 300, but we don't want to miss this important point. Okay, shown in the question, 5% of the tomatoes were spoiled, خربانات. Okay, so we want to find how many pounds representing the 5%. We don't want to include them in our result. We want to throw them. So we multiply 300 times 5%. 5%, we remember also, 5% means 0.05. So we multiply them together, we get 15 pounds. So 15 pounds should be thrown away because they are spoiled. Then how many pounds are fine, okay, that I can sell, is the complement of that, or 300 minus 15, which is 285 pounds. Okay, now the selling price is 67.2. Okay, if we divide it by number of pounds that I have, which is 285, I will get the selling price per each pound. If we calculate it, so we will get 0.24. So each pound cost me 0.14, and the selling price for each is 0.24. And then we go to calculating contribution margin, CM. Contribution margin equals selling price minus the variable cost. Very simple example. We take, assume John Company produces pens that have selling price of $2 and the variable cost is 0.8. So directly calculate the contribution margin, which is the selling price 2 minus the variable cost 0.8, and then we will get 1.2 US dollar. This is called the contribution margin. Break even point shown by the following formula: fixed cost divided by contribution margin. Contribution margin that we just calculated in the previous example or previous slide. So we have fixed price and we divide it by the contribution margin. This is the break-even point. For example, John's company produces pens. The company has fixed cost of 6,000 US dollar. This is the fixed cost. Each pen sells for 2 US dollar with variable cost 0.8. So what is the break-even point? It is the fixed cost, which is 60,000 US dollar, divided by the contribution margin, which is 2 minus here 2, where is it? 2 minus 0.8. 60,000 divided by 2 minus 0.8, and this will give us 50,000 units. So this is what we mean by break even point. This is the end of the chapter. Thank you very much for listening. I wish you understand all of these things, and good luck. Thank you.